I cannot believe they are actually doing this. I am literally sitting here staring at my screen at 2 a.m. completely losing my mind over these latest General Hospital spoilers. And I just need to vent to people who actually understand the absolute lunacy of what we are witnessing right now. Are we seriously about to get a double baby daddy storyline with Curtis Ashford? Because if we are, I might actually throw my television out the window. I mean, I have been watching this show religiously since 2015. I have sat through some of the most ridiculous, convoluted, hair-pulling plots in soap history. But this is a whole new level of messy. And I am half here for the drama and half ready to write a strongly worded letter to the writers. We need to talk about Curtis, Portia, and Jordan, because the level of sheer irresponsibility and hypocrisy happening in Port Charles right now is off the charts. Like, do none of these middle-aged adults know what protection is? Are we really doing the miracle bonus baby trope not just once, but twice? At the exact same time with the exact same man. I am so stressed out just thinking about it. And let's just start with the absolute elephant in the room here, which is Curtis Ashford himself. I am sorry, but am I the only one who is completely exhausted by Curtis's holier-than-thou attitude when it comes to honesty? Only for him to continuously make the most chaotic decisions possible. This is a man who literally blew up his marriages because he can't stand liars. He left Jordan because she kept secrets about her police work, and Cyrus Renaud, he left Portia because she lied for 2 decades about Trina's paternity. He acts like he is the moral compass of Port Charles, the ultimate victim of deceitful women. But what does he do? He goes right back to them. Sometimes at the exact same time. It is so gross. Ew. I just can't with him anymore. He bounces between Portia and Jordan like a ping pong ball, judging them for their secrets while simultaneously enabling this toxic triangle. And now the universe is punishing him with not 1 but potentially 2 newborns. I mean, karma is real and her name is a positive pregnancy test. But wait, I am getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about Portia Robinson for a second, because my blood pressure spikes every time she is on screen right now. We all know Portia is pregnant, and we all know she had that affair with Isaiah Gannon. And suddenly the paternity test comes back and says Curtis is the father. Yeah, right. I know some people are loving this idea of Curtis and Portia getting a fresh start with a new baby. But personally, I am calling absolute nonsense on those test results. There is no way. We are talking about Portia here. Remember when she let Curtis believe Trina wasn't his for her entire life? Remember the absolute devastation that caused she has a PH? DW'd in lying and covering her tracks. Many fans, myself included, are completely convinced that she tampered with those paternity results. She knows that if the baby is Isaiah's, her marriage to Curtis is completely irreparably done. So she fixed the test. I am calling it now. We are going to have to wait 9 agonizing months for the truth to come out. Probably in the middle of a dramatic birth scene or a medical emergency where blood types don't match, because that is classic GH. And then there is Isaiah. Sweet, wonderful, ridiculously handsome Isaiah. He was so thrilled at the prospect of being a dad. He was ready to step up. He is a good man, and frankly, that makes him way too good for Portia. I kind of feel terrible for him. He is just caught in the crossfire of this toxic Ashford drama. Portia doesn't deserve a guy who is actually straightforward and honest. She deserves the mess she has created with Curtis. I really hope the writers don't just push Isaiah to the side because he has so much potential, and it would be a total waste to just use him as a sperm donor red herring. I want him to fight for another test. I want him to demand the truth. Because if there is one thing Portia hates, it is being forced to face the truth. Okay, back to the point because we have to talk about Jordan. Jordan Ashford is pregnant too. I screamed when I saw her with that pregnancy test last week. And then she had that abbreviated, super secretive consult with Britt Westbourne. My jaw was on the floor. And the fact that she met up with Curtis right after and said absolutely nothing. The hypocrisy. Jordan girl. You literally just blew up Portia's life by running to Curtis and blabbing about Portia's pregnancy before Portia even had the chance to tell. You took the moral high ground. You acted like Curtis deserved to know immediately, and now here you are, sitting on your own little secret bun in the oven. I can't even handle the irony. It is so thick you could cut it with a scalpel. So now, according to the timeline spoilers, Portia is going to find out about Jordan's pregnancy before Jordan tells Curtis, "This is the mess I live for." Portia is going to hold all the cards. She has the ultimate opportunity for revenge. Will she take the high road? Absolutely not. This is Portia. She is going to march right up to Curtis and drop that bomb just to watch Jordan squirm. It would serve Jordan right, to be honest. You reap what you sow. But the sheer panic that is going to cross Curtis's face when he realizes he is about to be a double daddy, I'm going to need to make popcorn for that episode. He is going to lose his mind. He was already thrown for a loop with Portia's news, but this is going to completely break him. But hold on, let's take a step back and look at the Jordan situation, because my brain has been spinning with theories. Are we all just automatically assuming that Curtis is the only man who could possibly be Jordan's baby daddy? Because I am not buying it. What about Brick? Can we talk about Brick? They have had so much chemistry lately. They have been flirting, they have been sharing these intense looks, they have this undeniable spark. For all we know, they hooked up off-screen. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time GH pulled an off-screen hookup out of thin air to complicate a storyline. Remember when they did that with, well, literally half the cast over the years? I would honestly love it if Brick was the father. It would completely blindside Curtis, it would give Jordan a storyline outside of pining for her ex-husband, and it would bring Brick more into the core canvas. Plus, Brick is fiercely protective, and seeing him go up against Curtis for Jordan's affections and a baby, that is premium soap opera television right there. But let's just pretend for a second that Curtis actually is the father of both babies. How on earth is he going to juggle two newborns? Seriously, think about the logistics of this nightmare. The man already struggles to balance his time between the Savoy, his family drama, and his constant need to brood dramatically in dark corners. When is he going to sleep? Is he going to be doing midnight feedings at Portia's house? And then driving across town to change diapers at Jordan's place? It is comical. It is like a bad sitcom plot. My two baby mamas. I can already picture the montage of him falling asleep at the club, because he has been up for 72 hours straight dealing with colic and teething in 2 different zip codes. And the tension between Portia and Jordan, they despise each other. They have this deeply rooted passive-aggressive and sometimes just aggressive hatred for one another. How could they possibly share Curtis? They can't even share oxygen in the same room without throwing shade. Imagine them having to coordinate visitation schedules or running into each other at pediatrician appointments, or dealing with joint birthday parties for the rest of their lives. It would be a total bloodbath. Portia would be constantly trying to prove she is the better mother, and Jordan would be constantly rolling her eyes at Portia's neurotic behavior. The stress of trying to keep the peace between these two women would age Curtis 20 years in 6 months. He would probably just move into the Savoy and never leave. Honestly, I think a situation like this, a dual baby daddy scenario, is exactly the kind of pressure cooker needed to force some hard truths out into the open, because secrets on this show are like ticking time bombs, and a double pregnancy is the match that lights the fuse. If Curtis is running himself ragged trying to be a father to both babies, the guilt is going to start eating away at the liars. Portia is already incredibly anxious and secretive. The stress of maintaining a fake paternity test while watching Curtis bond with Jordan over their baby might actually break her. I can totally see a scenario where she completely snaps during an argument and screams, "Fine, he's Isaiah's," just to hurt Curtis or to get out of the suffocating pressure of her own lies. And Jordan, if Brick really is the father, she is going to have to come clean eventually. She can't let Curtis believe he has a child with her while Brick is just standing on the sidelines. Jordan is flawed, but she isn't cruel in the way Portia can be. She wouldn't let Curtis bond with a child that isn't his, especially knowing his history with Trina. She would eventually have to sit him down and admit that her flirtations with Brick went a lot further than anyone knew. I know I am ranting, but I am just so emotionally invested in this disaster. I have watched these characters make the same mistakes over and over again, and I just want someone to finally learn a lesson. Curtis needs to stop sleeping with women who lie to him. Portia needs to stop manipulating medical data to save her marriage. Jordan needs to figure out what she actually wants instead of just hovering around Curtis's orbit. And don't even get me started on how this is going to affect the rest of the canvas. Trina's going to be caught right in the middle of this again. Her relationship with Portia is already hanging by a thread. They are in a very fragile state of mending. And if Trina finds out that Portia lied about another paternity test, she will never speak to her mother again. She will completely cut her off. Trina has been through enough trauma, she doesn't need to be the collateral damage, and Portia's desperate attempts to keep Curtis... Am I the only one who thinks the writers are setting up a massive confrontation at the hospital? Like, both women go into labor at the same time during some kind of Port Charles disaster, a blizzard, a blackout, a hostage situation, because it's GH, and nobody can just have a normal birth. Curtis is running between delivery rooms, sweating through his suit, while Isaiah and Brick are ominously pacing in the waiting room. It writes itself. It is so soapy and ridiculous, and I am absolutely going to watch every single second of it. I just need these spoilers to play out already because the anticipation is killing me. I am dreading the inevitable dragged-out secrets because we all know GH loves to milk a paternity mystery for a solid year. But I am totally here for the messy fallout. I want Portia to get caught. I want Jordan to drop a bomb. I want Curtis to realize that his own actions put him in this ridiculous situation. You can't play with fire and not expect to get burned, Curtis. Okay, I need to go to sleep before I start writing fan fiction about Brick and Jordan raising their baby in a mob-protected fortress while Curtis cries into a glass of whiskey at the Savoy. But seriously, if anyone else is awake and processing this double daddy madness, please tell me I am not crazy for thinking this is the wildest thing they've done all year. We are in for a long, bumpy ride, and I am strapping in.